So this is a program put on by the Leadership Development Center here at Kent State University. We are located on the second floor of the Student Center. So if you go up the steps, we're on the right. It's like a big glass window next to like where Kinmark used to be, and before you get to the computer lab. In the Leadership Center, you can talk to a student leadership consultant, which that's what I am. We also have another leadership consultant student named Andrea. You can talk to us about leadership opportunities. You can reserve the space for group leadership development workshops and programs. You can attend some of our workshops like we are here today and programs to develop your leadership skills, excuse me. And you also can borrow a book from the free leadership collection library and study by yourself or with a group. As you can see in the background, I am in the Leadership Center right now, and due to COVID, a lot of the tables are spaced out, a lot of the chairs are spaced out, but you are still free to come in here anytime that the Student Center is open. So in the Leadership Center, we have our little motto that we go by. And it's three different topics of change that we talk about. One would be interpersonal, which is like self-awareness, personal actions, learning and reasoning. Community change, which is like civic responsibility or social justice. And then intrapersonal, which is group dynamics, diversity, inclusion, and cultural competences. So today we will be focusing on interpersonal. Okay, like I said before, my name is Arkila Metcalf. I am a second year student leadership consultant. I am a senior athletic training major. I will be graduating in May, and I'm from Dayton, Ohio. Okay, so with our topic today, we will be talking about going back to the drawing board and failing forward. So today, some of the topics we will touch on is average people versus achievers, perfection versus reality, the new definition of failure, don't take it personal, take action and accept responsibility, and backup plans. So these are our objectives we will talk about and touch on as we go through the presentation today. And at any point, if you guys have any questions or you guys have any comments on the quotes or even anything that I say, feel free, turn your mic on. I would love to hear you guys' voice, turn your mic on, or you could just simply put it in the chat. I'm sure Haley will monitor the chat, or I can even see it pop up and I will read it out loud. Okay, so first, so I want you guys to keep this in your head. Average people versus achievers. So when you think about that, think achievers expect to succeed before they even start. So you have that mentality like, oh, I know I'm gonna pass this test. I know I'm gonna get this job. But the average person checks to see if checks to see if achieving is even possible. So, you know, you have those thoughts like, okay, I might be able to do it. I'm not really sure. But the mindset that we're going in today are achievers. We are achievers. So we're going to expect us to succeed before they start or before we start. Achievers usually continues with passion and believe that sky is the limit, meaning that they believe that they can do anything they put their mind to. They don't feel like they have anything that's going to stop them. Whereas an average person feels like they are boxed in, like they only could do what they see, like what's visible or what they are told that they can do. But like I said before, we're thinking in the mindset of an achiever today. Okay, so time to share. So let's brainstorm just to get our topic going, just to get some communication and conversation going. So think of something you're looking forward to, and you can share it in the chat or you can turn your mic on and share it out loud. Like brainstorm, it can be anything. It can be a new car, a test, new job, anything. So just think of something that you're looking forward to and share. So I'll go first just to break the ice. I would say something I'm looking forward to is graduation. So anyone can share. I think we have one in the chat. Heading back for summer internship opportunities. We are going camping this summer, midterms being over, and starting an internship. Okay, good. So we all have something that we're looking forward to. Midterms being over, me too. Okay, so Now, what if this didn't happen or this didn't come true? Like, how would you feel if this didn't happen? So, like I said, I'm looking forward to graduation. So if it didn't come true, I would be upset. I kind of would say like now with COVID going on and we're not sure if it's in person or not in person, I am upset if it's not in person. But if graduation just didn't happen at all for me, like if I just didn't wasn't able to graduate, I would be upset, like really sad. Someone said really sad, disappointed. Okay. So how would you guys feel if midterms weren't over? Like it was a long time thing, or if you didn't start your internship, how would you feel? You'll find a new place to do your internship. Okay, good, good. I would maybe rethink if the path was right for me. I would be stressed. Great answers, great answers. So we're on the right path of what we're going to talk about today. Definitely like the I will find a new place to do my internship because you're already thinking next step, like you're not just giving up. It would be really hard to stay motivated. Exactly. Okay, good. Thank you everyone for sharing. At any point, if you guys feel like I'm going too fast, also let me know. Okay, so what does failing forward or back to the drawing board mean? So to me, it means starting over again because a plan failed to come together, or let's try something else, or even let's analyze and fix the current situation. So, not always let's just find a whole new idea. Like, let's just go for something totally different. Like, sometimes if you just stop, take a break, and analyze the situation you're in, you can find the resolution within that situation. Like, you don't have to start all the way over, go back to square one. That's I would say the great thing about the drawing board because it's like you don't have to erase everything. You can just erase a few things and keep the same issue or keep the same, you know, idea that you're going for. So these are the three different meanings for today. So failing forward, regardless of background, income, and life situations, it's the perception of how you respond to failure that sets achievers apart from average person. Like before, achievers versus average. So at the end of the day, it's which one you choose to be. But like I said before, we're in the mindset of achievers. Failing forward tells a person how to look at life's setbacks and learn for them. So it's not something we just, you know, okay, this happened to me, that's it. Like it's something we're going to also learn from. Like we're going to see how to deal with it. And it teaches us how to accept reality, and it tells us that there's still hope, or let us know that there's still hope. So how do we redefine failure? First, we need to know exactly what failure is. We need to know that failure is not avoidable. It's not something that we just can't happen, or like we just is never going to happen to us. Failure is not irreversible. It's not something that's, going to go back. Failure is not bad, nor is success always good, but it's a learning experience. Failure is not final. So these are the four things. Of course, there might be many more, but these are the four main things that we need to know about redefining failure. So we need to know that it's not necessarily failure is not a bad thing. I had a workshop before called Fear of Failure. Like people shouldn't be scared to fail. Like it's a part of life. It's a part of who make us. It's a part of how we find our strengths from our weakness. It's a part of how we make our weakness our like how we take our weakness and turn them into our strengths. Knowing that they're not final, knowing that we can learn from them and change them. Okay, so the difference between failing backwards versus failing forward. So failing backwards is, your typical blaming others, like not taking responsibility, repeating the same mistakes over again, expecting to never fail, so thinking that, it's not going to happen, expecting to always fail, accepting tradition blindly, limiting by past mistakes, and quitting. So the limiting by past mistakes is basically you go through something and the next time you're put up with that same situation, you feel like, oh, I already know what's going to happen. Like I'm not even going to give my best because it's not going to go so well. So having that limited mindset, like to cut off anything that's above that. So like achiever, how we say like achievers have that sky is the limit. So once you have that limit mindset or the limit past, like where mistakes, you're going to keep repeating that, that's when you start failing backwards and you're not learning from it. Failing forward, taking responsibility. So, you know, not blaming other people for your actions. There might be other parties who assist with what you are doing, or other parties who are contributors, or people you feel like you are set to make proud. So taking responsibility, knowing that what you do is for yourself. Learning from your mistakes, also taking responsibility. Knowing failure is a part of the process. Keeping a positive attitude, challenging assumptions, taking new risk, and persevering. So with the challenging assumptions, meaning like you don't just think of something like, oh, I think I'm not gonna make it. Like you also are going for it. Like you're also gonna pursue the assumptions that you have for yourself and also the assumptions that people might have for you also. So knowing the difference between failing backwards versus failing forward. Basically, failing forward is we're trying to learn from it. We're going to learn from it and we're going to use that as our advantage, as our stepping stool. Failing backwards is we failed and okay, that's it. Like we failed, that was it. Like it don't even matter. We're just moving on from it. Okay, so I have an image here. And of course, there's words on here, but I want someone to share what does this image mean to you? Or what do you get from this image? So this is an iceberg, and it says success people see versus what people don't see. So what exactly does this mean to you? Anyone can share. A little at the top, a lot at the bottom. Okay. People see the surface level. Good, good. Maybe get one more. People go through a lot behind the scenes to reach where they are now. Okay, great. I appreciate everyone for sharing. People only see the outcome, not everything that goes into the process. Wonderful. That was a lot. All those were spot on. Um, I would definitely say, with our words on the side or at the bottom, that kind of helped too. What people usually don't see. So they don't see the failure you go through. They don't see the resistance you go through, the hard work, the sacrifice. It's always the big outcome or what you wear on your sleeves that people usually see. So like the iceberg at the top, you would have never known that it was so big at the bottom or it went through so much to get that nice shining image at the top. This goes with failure because a lot of people don't know what you went through in order to get where you are today. I would say definitely a big thing with our generation and with society is social media. We always look at social media, look at celebrities as like our ideal image, but we never know what their below water iceberg is. We never know what they're carrying under that. We always think, oh, Kim Kardashian has a lot of money. That's just a person I'm throwing out. We always just see like the image that they show. Like they're never gonna tell us what they're going through all the time. So great job, great job. And I added this because it's something that everyone goes through. It's reality, and it lets you know that you cannot judge a book by a cover. Basically, you cannot judge a book by a cover, and not everyone has it all put together. So perfection versus reality. So we're going to watch a quick TED Talk. Once I figure out how to get out of here. It is 12 minutes, but we're only gonna watch 6 minutes of it because the part that I really want you to understand is at the beginning. I'm gonna play it and I want someone to turn their mic on and tell me if you can see it and hear it. So give me 1 second. I want you guys to play close attention because I am gonna ask you to share your thoughts at the end. So can everyone see my screen?
I still see your presentation, Arkila.
Okay. Hold on one second. Give me a second.
You may need to stop sharing and then reshare.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, I'm about to try this now. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. Let me know if you can hear it also.
Perfection. Perfection is a word that I have strived for my entire life, my entire career. Perfection is a word that I thought if I just was perfect, if I could get the perfect score, if I could look perfect, if I could score perfectly on this test, if I could get the perfect procedure for this patient, if I could be the perfect mom, I would find joy. I would find grit. I would find resilience, and I would find success. I'm here to tell you that I have actually learned quite the opposite. I've learned throughout my career, my time as a mother, my time as a wife, as a sister, as a daughter, my time as a woman physician in a very male-dominated field, that the biggest joy in my life, the biggest success, the biggest resilience, the tenacity, the fun, the meaning has come from my imperfections, has come from a place of failure. If we think about what success is, what resilience is, what makes people really gritty in what they are, we think about what's on top of the iceberg. We think about all of the things that allow people to succeed. And when we stand on stages like I'm standing now, we often brag about our grants we've received, our publications, all of the awards and the accolades and all the wonderful things that we have done. We don't show the world most times what's underneath the iceberg, all of our failures, our trials, our tribulations. For example, this is me this past week. I spent the last week in a tropical location, and the picture of me that you see up here in the green is what I posted on my Instagram feed. I look perfect, my skin is aglow. You can imagine that there's butterflies swirling on top of my head. But in reality, I spent several hours in my hotel room thinking about this talk, working on different projects, eating a bag of Twizzlers. I didn't post that on Instagram because that's not what we post and that's not what we project. We want to project perfection. As I thought about my life and I thought about what I want to share today, I want to go back and talk to a young Dr. Shilkut. I want to tell her things that I want to tell you today. Number one, I want to tell you that resilient people share their failure. They're not afraid to admit when they've made a big mistake or a small mistake. They don't hide behind a veil of perfection. In 1961, an OBGYN from Australia posted a 5-sentence letter to The Lancet. And he basically said, I think I've failed. I've noticed that I've been treating nausea and vomiting and giving a sedative to several of my patients who are pregnant. And those patients have given birth to stillborn infants or infants who are missing limbs. I think that this is something that I've actually contributed to and given to my patients. Has anyone else noticed this? It took 5 sentences and an admittance of failure, of a complication, to save thousands and tens of thousands of future infants. That drug was thalidomide. And his ability to share that, which we depend on in science, we depend on sharing negative studies, things that come out, complications. But when it comes to ourselves, we often don't share those failures. We're too afraid. I would also tell her, Dr. Shilkut, resilient people turn vulnerability into their strengths. They're not afraid to see what they have failed, their weak spots. They're not afraid to surround themselves with people that will actually point out those weak spots. They're very open about them. I would tell a young Dr. Shilkut that resilient people, to be resilient, you want to normalize failure. In my profession, physicians have one of the highest suicide rates in the country. We are on the front lines taking care of people. We see people at their most vulnerable state, and it takes a toll on us. And it's devastating. I personally have lost 4 of my colleague friends to suicide. And there was some research team in 2013, Zwack and Schweitzer, who decided they were going to study this. They were going to look at physicians who work in high acute areas, such as surgeons, and they're going to try to figure out what makes this surgeon, who may have suffered a complication, a failure, a professional failure, get back up and go on, versus his colleague or her colleague who has a huge amount of anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation. What makes these 2 surgeons different? They found 4 main variables, and one of them was so interesting. One of them was that the physicians who were resilient, the surgeons who could go through a very difficult complication or professional failure and then bounce back up, they had what they called a margin of failure. They accepted that about themselves. Being in this field, they were going to have complications. They were likely going to fail sometimes, versus the other physicians who had a perfectionistic ideal, which is what we're trained to do in medicine. From a very early age, we're trained to get perfect scores, to get a perfect grade so that we can get to the perfect college and the perfect fellowship. And those physicians that were the most resilient accepted a margin of failure. I would also tell you and tell her, the young Dr. Shilcutt, who thought it was great to be a perfectionist, a very important thing, probably the most difficult thing about failure. I would tell her to seek feedback about her failure.
Okay. Close out of that. I have to find my PowerPoint now. Okay, so what did we get from that TED Talk? Anyone would like to share? What's something that really stuck out to you about that? Can you guys see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay, cool, thank you. Resilient people felt a lot. Good. Yes, it was the resilient word that I really wanted you guys to really catch that. Seeking feedback about failure is important. I personally find this so hard. Failure is a part of success. Exactly. I personally find this so hard. Yes. Feedback, I feel like feedback is definitely something that everyone struggles with, because it's like you don't ever want to hear negative things come out of people, but sometimes it's the truth, and sometimes it's what we need to hear in order to, build ourselves up and be great. So I'm gonna move on. So failure and success are not opposite words. Failure is nothing to be ashamed of, and some forms of success can come at a high price. So failure and success are not opposite words. Failure is nothing to be ashamed of, and some forms of success can come at a high price. So the last part, success can come at a high price, that can go back to our little iceberg. So seeing the top of the iceberg, the shiny iceberg, but the long piece of ice at the end, at the bottom of the water that no one sees, that can be that high price that it took that iceberg to get there. Certain people go through certain things, but you think like they have it all put together, but you really don't know what they went through. And failure and success not being opposite words, that's something I feel like a lot of people wouldn't agree with. But since a lot of us know that failure is a part of life, I feel like we all understand. I like that. A little vulnerability, risk is worth a big reward. Yes. Okay, so since we talked about failure a lot, We know that failure is reality. Failure is something that we have to go through. But after we fail, what do we do now? The topic is, let's go back to the drawing board and let's fail forward. But what do we do after we fail? So I have some steps for us. How to turn our mistakes into steps, backup plans. So the first thing what we need to do is understand what went wrong. So analyzing the situation. So what exactly did I do wrong? Like having step from step of what the actual situation was, and also having these steps. So what did I do wrong? Forgive yourself. Taking that responsibility, whether you think it's your fault or not, forgive yourself for what you know, what you went through. Because when we go through things, we think that it's not a big deal, but we tend to deal with it physically and emotionally and not even know it sometimes. You must accept that failure and mistakes are a part of life. Like we said, failure is reality. Giving up is not an option, but see what you can learn from it. So, not saying that this is it, but also going back and thinking about, okay, well, what did I get from this? Like, because we're going back to the drawing board. So what did you learn from this? So what are you going to do differently now? Finding your support system. So whether it's, we're going to talk about college, whether it's like a professor, whether it's your support group that you have around you, your group of friends, your group of teammates, your people who are your coworkers, your colleagues, your peers, finding your support system. And sometimes your support system is going to be also the people who give you critical feedback, which you need that. Like it's reality and you need to know what you did wrong bluntly, like exactly how it was seen, and then take action. So after you realize what it is that you did wrong, you forgave yourself, you find people who support you, take action. So now it's time to try again. Now it's time to go or even change the situation. You don't necessarily have to always go back on the same situation. Sometimes you can go into a different direction with a whole new setup, but take action, knowing that you're not giving up for that final goal. You're going to do something different. And then believe in yourself. You should always believe in yourself through every situation. Sometimes doubt gets all of us. Sometimes we feel like we're not the best at something. Sometimes we feel like, we're not great. But believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. If people don't see that you're believing in yourself, how can they learn how to believe in you? How can you're supposed to teach people how to treat you. So but by believing in yourself and knowing that you can do anything, that goes a long way. Okay, so the truth is it happens. So, of course, throughout this PowerPoint, we all know that failure happens. Just by you guys sharing, I see that you all know like this is nothing surprising. This is nothing new to anyone. Everyone's been through it. So we know that it happens. So you just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like it's okay to be uncomfortable. Like you never know what you're capable of if you don't come out of something. I would say when I was sharing my fear of failure workshop, an example I always share is like when we were babies, we didn't know how to walk. Of course, that was a long time ago. We can't really think about it. We weren't really there, but we didn't know how to walk. And at that time, crawling was comfortable for us. But it took us to being uncomfortable of falling, being uncomfortable of crying and having our parents hold our hand throughout the whole situation to look at us now being able to walk. So it took us from being babies to now we're applying that to real life situations to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you never know what you're capable of and you never know where that could take you in life. If you have passion, persistence, grit, ability to bounce back, you are capable of achieving your goals in a different way. So if you have that passion to keep going, if you have that mindset, if you forgive yourself, if you believe in yourself, you have that ability to bounce back. Whether it goes in the right direction that you want it to be, it's the end goal that truly matters. Accept critical feedback. Like we said before, sometimes the critical feedback come from the closest people you know. Sometimes the critical feedback can come from, strangers that you never know that they were setting your life for a certain situation. So accepting critical feedback and knowing that it's not always negative. Don't compare yourself to others because life isn't always as it seems. it's easier said than it is done. I would say this definitely touched home to me because I always find myself comparing myself to others. And it's not necessarily always in a bad way. It's sometimes it's like, with college, I would say example for me is like, I'm about to graduate. And the next thing is either grad school or a job. And being in a major that's like you have to take a test to be certified or you have to have a job right afterwards. I know a lot of my friends or my classmates who already have their life after college set up. So I feel like I'm not doing something right, or I feel like I'm, you know, missing out on something, or I'm way behind because I don't have something planned for the next step. So I don't know what they went through to get the jobs. I don't know, if that's even the true story, if they all have jobs, but it's just, I don't know. So I shouldn't compare myself to them. And I don't know also what my future holds for me. So don't compare yourself to others because, you can't always judge a book by a cover. And like the iceberg, you don't know what under the water is that's going to make you shine. Having backup plans, we definitely went through that. And flipping your weakness into your strength. So I feel like I kind of talked through this really fast, but I believe we definitely touched on a lot of good points. And I'm gonna open up the chat for any questions or anything that anyone want to have to say about any of the slides. But I would definitely say a takeaway I want you guys to leave with is when things don't make sense, failing forward will. When failing forward is the only option you have to when failing forward is the only option you have to you realize your best assets can't be seen until failure removes the distraction. So basically, when you feel like there's nothing else, failing forward is going to be your only option because it's like that you're going to learn from it. You're going to get something out of it. By just giving up, okay, now you just wasted the time that you did put in that situation, and also that you wasting time now because you just did that for no reason if you're not going to learn from it and if you're not going to keep going. And you need failure in order to remove the distraction. So you would have never known what you did wrong if failure didn't happen. Like with our test, like when you take an exam and you fail a test, if that failure didn't happen, you would have thought you knew that information and would have went on and been a doctor and didn't even know that information. So you need to fail forward in order to learn from your mistakes and learn from situations, but you also need failure in order to remove distractions. Okay, and that's what I have for this topic. I'm gonna read the chat a little bit. Thank you for your advice, Arkila. You're welcome. I feel like I talk so fast. My favorite analogy is swerve away from the pothole if you can. If you can't and hit the pothole, allow your time to be sad and mad about it. Regroup and come up with a plan to fix the flat tire. Don't slash the other 3 tires. That makes a lot of sense. So swerve away. So if you're driving, swerve away from the pothole if you can. But if you can't, just go ahead and hit the pothole and allow your time to be sad or mad, and then regroup and come up with a way to fix that one tire. And don't go by slash. Don't think that the resolution would be slashing the other 3 tires. So definitely. I will also say that going off of what she shared in the chat, when we fail or when we go through things that cause us to fail, that affects us emotionally. Like we do be upset. We sometimes we react off of being upset or we react off of being mad. But it's okay to go through those feelings. I don't always allow myself time to be sad or mad. Yes, that's exactly what I was about to share. It's okay to go through those feelings. We are humans. We're going to be upset. We're going to be sad. We're going to cry. Like stuff is going to really hurt us, especially if it's something we're passionate about or something we put a lot of time into. It's going to hurt us, but it's okay to go through that. Like it's okay to fail. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be hurt about a certain situation. It's just what you decide to do after that. Like, do you decide to learn from that mistake? Do you decide to, okay, that really did hurt me and I also didn't get the outcome I wanted? What am I going to do now? So yes, not allowing yourself to be sad or mad is not good. It's easier said than it is done because I'm the same way. Yes, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to plug 2 events that we have coming up. But you guys can feel free to still use the chat about the topic today. I'm going to keep it open. So coming up, we have our lessons in leadership. And if you are new to the Leadership Center, basically our lessons in leadership is ran on our Instagram live where we host with someone else from the university. And this March 25th on Thursday, it will be Daniel Nilsson, which is the director of EHHS, which is Education Human Health Services, Diversity Outreach and Development. It will be at 12 o'clock on our Kent State Leads page, or if you're already following him, I'm pretty sure it'll pop up through either one. So basically we interview staffs about their leadership experience, leadership opportunities, and things that they do in their personal program that they're associated with. So definitely tune into that. Feel free when you tune in, you can ask questions, you can comment, but it's just ran like a regular Instagram live. And then we have our Student Leadership Awards coming up, which is April 19th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. It will be virtual because of COVID. But yes, so mark your calendars, March 25th, Instagram Live, and April 19th, it will be through Haley. You can add more information if I'm saying that right.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, we encourage everyone to attend, whether you nominated people for awards or not. It'll be a great, awesome event, and we will be sharing some things from around campus as well as presenting all of our awards. So we hope to see you there.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's all I have for you all. I felt like it went really quick, but I do appreciate everyone for being engaging. I appreciate everyone for coming onto here. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask in the chat, and also follow us on Instagram at Kent State Leads, and stay tuned for more programs and events we have coming up.